The government shut down, and the Democrats are simply at a loss for words.
Every Republican who's gone on TV the last 12 hours or so has called this the Schumer shutdown. What do you say about that name? Senator Schumer, can you hear me?
I can't hear.
Senator Schumer, can you hear me? I don't think Senator Schumer can hear me right now. Maybe the government shutdown included audio on Capitol Hill.
It certainly did. So did Schumer just hand the keys to the castle to Donald Trump? President Trump certainly believes so.
Well, the Democrats want to shut it down. So when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected. And the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats. As you know, this country, no country can afford to pay for illegal immigration, health care for everybody that comes into the country, and that's what they're insisting. And obviously I have an obligation to not accept that. That would affect everybody. A lot of good can come down from shutdowns. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be Democrat things.
There it is. That's the key there at the end, Matt, when you hear it. Oh, he can actually get rid of a lot of things. Oh, we have a lot of powers during a shutdown.
I love how Trump is taken to, the rest vote argument, but he's saying, well, this is what happens. You shut the government down, then we get rid of a lot of things, and that's the way it's going to be. And if that's the new normal, then great, because it wasn't the norm in the past. So it's great that Trump's latched onto it.
Yeah, and it's all about healthcare for the Democrats. Let's go ahead and look at CNN. They had a headline out there that says, fact check, Trump falsely claims the Democrats want to give free healthcare to illegal aliens in the government shutdown battle. But as Trump claimed, they want healthcare for the illegals. But let's go ahead and listen to Representative Maxine Waters. She's never going to have an opportunity to rebuke this claim. Watch.
But aren't Democrats demanding healthcare for illegal aliens?
That's right. Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. We want to save lives. We want to make sure that health care is available to those who would die, but having the help of their government.
So you're good with the government shutdown, even if it means giving health care to people who aren't American citizens?
Well, that's what you're pushing on. What you're trying to do is you're standing here and you're trying to make me say that somehow we're going to put non-citizens over Americans. Quit it. Stop it. This is the kind of journalism we don't need.
No, I'm just
you're divisive.
Questions.
No, you're not.
Yeah, no,
you're being divisive. No, please. You don't need to ask that question. You're just trying to get controversy here. You're not going to get it from me. We want to save health care for all people.
Well, for all people, Chris, I think that we've heard this argument before, but at least the Democrats aren't being overdramatic about any of this.
No, they're not being overdramatic at all. It's just, it's kind of wild. They say it's not happening. This isn't happening anywhere, but you're not allowed to touch it because it's extremely important to the undocumented communities. They're speaking out of both sides of their mouth. And by the way, at least for now, they're not even talking to these undocumented communities, these illegal immigrant communities. That's a play for the votes of white liberal women. That's who they're talking to. That's the audience for so much of this stuff. It's not really playing as it's not as important in the day-to-day. You look, these Democrats will consistently say this is not even a thing. I'm looking right now, I got on my iPad, the New York State of Health website of how to get health care and which government programs you can take advantage of if you're undocumented. I mean, this is something that states and Democrats are paying for. It's been a major problem, and the Republicans are going to fix it. Well, I do want to get back to the Rust vote plan at some point, but I won't go too far astray and give you a 5-minute answer.
No, let's go ahead and get into Rust vote right now because he is the man of the hour. So, Matt, if people don't really know, because we say his name on this show a lot, but just, he's the guy behind the scenes that is going to be having the best week right now of anybody in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who, as we've said before on the show, has experience. As Chris said yesterday, he's already been there, in the government. But people need to know the Office of Management and Budget is exceptionally powerful because they actually have to put together the budget, and that's where a lot of the money flows out of. So the initial Doge excitement was looking at money flow. Well, the actual organization that does this is the Office of Management and Budget, with which he is in charge of. And I think he's very prepared for this moment, because the key here is, the big picture is, you can talk about cutting the government all you want, but you have to know exactly what you're doing and what levers to press.
Yeah, and right now we can see that Russ Vought is taking advantage of this opportunity. We see today that he's frozen $18 billion in New York City infrastructure plans. So if you're looking at Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, well, there you go right there. They were tied to DEI measures there in the city. And he's just canceled $8 billion in the Green New Scam climate funding throughout a boatload of blue states, Bedford. So when you look at how he's actually operating right now, he's trying to be pretty effective in the first few hours of this government shutdown.
He is, and he's doing everything he can. He's definitely the cavalry general here, who's got the guys. He's raring to go. He's saying, Trump, just give the order and let me charge their lines. I want to dismantle the federal bureaucracy and every aspect of it that's not currently actually approved by Congress and isn't also serving the American interests and the American citizen. This is what he wants to do. My kind of cold water moment of realization today, the same thing we kind of had with the Chinese visas and with other aspects, is how far Russ is able to go is going to end up depending largely on President Trump himself. Now, I want to dismantle the federal bureaucracy. Russ wants to. You guys want to. Everyone, most of the people I would say who are watching right now or listening want to do that. But what President Trump wants most of all is going to be a deal. So he's got his finger on the trigger, and he's telling Democrats, listen, the funds go now. You're going to feel the squeeze in these infrastructure projects. You're going to feel the squeeze on these DEI programs. You're going to feel that squeeze for sure. It's not like what Obama did. Obama punished the normal American citizens. He's going to punish the Democrats who are using essentially American taxpayer money as their liberal slush fund to empower their own interests. But he hasn't yet given the order to do the big layoffs. You heard today, J.D. Vance, the vice president, was out there, and he said these notices can start going out in 2 days. Well, that's absolutely true. Caroline Leavitt said they're working on it right now, and that's absolutely true. But that's almost like bombing the capital city at this point. That is tens of thousands and tens of thousands of jobs that would suddenly be eliminated. President Trump is still very much in deal-making attitude. So if Democrats want to drag this out for probably a week or two, then you might see the bureaucracy actually dismantled in a pretty long-lasting way. What we've been talking about at the show, what I've been writing about. But for now, he's not letting the cavalry fully charge. He's doing these pinprick strikes on New York and wherever else he wants, which is in the executive's prerogative. They get to decide how to triage that money. And it's always been that way. But he's not yet ordered the full-on assault that I kind of would like to see. I don't want the government to shut down for weeks. I don't want my military families and Social Security checks to struggle to get out and get paid. That's not great. But I do want to see dismantling. So now I'm torn. It's going to be a hard fight. It's going to be a hard tightrope to walk, and we'll see how the president makes that call.
Yeah, and let's take a deeper look at what Trump has on the table here, this opportunity, because we do see here that CNN headline that we had before. They were talking about, the Democrats, they want to give the health care to illegals, and actually it would broaden the health care access for immigrants with legal status, not undocumented immigrants. So this is, when we're talking about this, you guys, this is the Democrats' constituency. This is who they play to all the time. And if we look, we were talking about Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. Well, we can add Ilhan Omar in there because her district is out there in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and 50% of immigrants in St. Paul find themselves as the committed immigration fraud. So it's a bombshell ice sweep in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, Matt. So we look at this. In the Twin Cities has over 82,000 Somalis alone. And when we go through this, the Democrats, they want the illegals in the healthcare and everything. But we were also talking about the census a little bit earlier, a few months ago on the show. All of this is tied together right now with this one issue.
Yeah. So what you have here is a system that as we know, where the Democrats know that the immigration is the number one issue because for them it's existential. They are going to give these people benefits. They already do give these people benefits. The fact we're still denying that they get benefits, is absolutely ridiculous. The whole point of bringing them in as indentured servants is that they will vote for you forevermore. That's the deal they want to make, and then they will take care of you with all kinds of government services and benefits, and then they're counted in the census. It's not dissimilar from the dynamic a long time ago when it came to slavery in the South. I mean, it really is like using people who are vulnerable to count towards your political power. And that's what they're doing. Everyone knows they're doing that now. It needs to be called out. And the budget fight, to the extent that it's about those benefits, is tied to this. It's existential for them. I think in order to get rid of this stuff, though, in order to create this structural reform, we do want to see a deal that makes sense. I'm curious, Chris. I mean, Russ Vought is saying apparently privately to the Republicans that he could do this in a day or two, right? They could start to fire people. But that also sounds to me, to your point, like, a threat, right, with a timeline that is hint, hint, you better come to the table. And I'm curious how serious you see the threat given the situation. I mean, he could do this and it would cause massive damage to their cause. Are they willing to come to the table, you think, knowing that, as we've said for a while, they don't actually have much here, and that, in a few days they come back around? I mean, how long are they prepared to go with this sort of Damocles hanging over their head?
The fact that you had two more Democrats join John Fetterman from was it Nevada, and then you had Angus King as well, and voting to keep the government open shows that there's already cracks in their coalition. The fact that you have Chuck Schumer, who has all the same reasons as he had last time to pass this, who's willing to fight now because he's been forced to, but he intellectually understands that they're trying to have a hostage negotiation when they have no hostages, shows that the leadership is not actually behind this. They're just saying, all right, Liz Warren, all right, AOC, you can drive this train for a while, but I'm not going to try and let you take me off a cliff with all the banners waving. Not if it actually causes permanent, or at least semi-permanent for Washington, damage to the progressive cause. So I think that the Democrats will start to peel off, and the fact that they already before it started in yesterday's vote or 2 days ago's vote decided yesterday's vote that three of them total we're going to peel off, shows that there are more people there who understand this than are willing to say so. And they're all looking around left and right, these Democrats, saying, we need enough people to agree to a deal where we can save some face, where all the blame doesn't just focus on a few of us. They want to spread it out, because politicians, of course, are very risk averse. They don't want the blame. But they also need to win their next election. And in order to do that, they can't just court moderates. They have to get their base, and their base is kind of crazy. Their base is just baying for blood. Like, literally, we've seen the polls. They want violence. They're okay with violence. So they're definitely okay with a couple of days of shutdown. But the idea of a 2-week shutdown seems so distant because Democrats just don't have it. And at that point, Donald Trump starts launching missiles. At this point, they're playing back and forth. They're a little slap and tickle. Maybe 5 days would be my guess still.
A little slap and tickle, classic. Just to warm up to it. I think that the flip side of this is that for President Trump, what is existential and what needs to happen, and to flip all of this nationally, is to take those benefits away. We simply cannot have illegals getting benefits from the United States government, and taking that away should be a dividing line, because that also goes to the overarching master plan, which is that Democrats shouldn't be counting these people in the census. They should be not part of the system. Stripping that out of the system ensures that the Democrats will lose Jill for a long time to come, and they won't be able to to really pull the plan that they wanted to pull, which is that they'd have generations of Democrats forevermore. So that Trump has to hold the line on that.
Yeah, don't worry though.
will.
Maxine Waters is just saying, "Oh, we're not going to put illegals over the American people. You're not going to get me to say that."
You really, it's two master plans, right? You have Trump's
Yeah.
master plan is we're done with this. Their master plan, we all know, was to continue this.
I see Republicans potentially as some kind of chip saying we will agree to begin negotiations on expanding the Obamacare tax credits or extending them, but they're going to be it's going to be a separate vehicle because we're not giving you any money for hostages you don't have. You don't even have bullets in your gun. We're just going to come in and say no, and you're going to lose this fight. And that's the secret about shutdowns. Because everyone is the loser and winner are already predetermined. It's just how long we're going to stretch out this drama. Democrats need to put on a play for their audience, but they know the ending. So there's no off ramps except for surrender. How far are they going to go before they just pull over and realize that the cops have them?